Welcome to another episode of I'm Not Yelling, I'm Dominican podcast, hosted by Nachi and Damaris. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Nachi and I'm here with
Damaris, your favorite spiritual chopper.
And today we're revisiting the topic of boundaries, something we discussed in our first episode. And this time around, we'll be exploring how navigating boundaries shapes our lives. And we're thrilled to have Dhayana Alejandrina, a poet and author, joining us to talk about her journey and how her writing reflects it and how she manages pushback on her boundaries. And we're also going to discuss the role of self-love in this process. So welcome, Dhayana.
Thank you, beautiful ladies. I'm so happy to be here with the both of you, and I can't wait to dive deeper into this conversation.
Yes, we're excited that you're here. So why don't you share a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Dhayana Alejandrina, and I am a Dominican poet, storyteller, and writing mentor. I was born in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, in El Simón Bolívar, real close to El Capotillo, so barrio.
Nice.
Okay.
No, seriously though. I lived in the DR until I was 13 and then immigrated to the United States with my mom in 2009. Crazy journey. I didn't speak any English whatsoever. And so much to go into. But long story short, writing to me, it's a way to completely express what I've been through, my story, my voice, to connect with people. And that is how I do it. I published my first book in 2021, Agridulce, which means bittersweet. And the process and poetry in that collection are about the duality of emotions, which is something that is very important to me for us to, talk about the bad, but also talk about the good, because, there's lesson in both of these topics. And that's really what I focus on, the wellness, the emotions, the talking about the uncomfortable conversations. That's what my platform is about. That's what I like to be authentic about. And through that journey, I also help emerging writers with their publishing journey, getting started with their Instagram, websites, just getting that sense of belonging, because I know how hard it is to share something very vulnerable or to not believe in your writing. Aside from my collection, my first nonfiction story got published with Dominican Writers Official in their anthology, De Eso No Se Habla. So definitely check it out. That's another vulnerable story about growing up with Dominican parents, things that you're not supposed to talk about.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
I have been diving deeper into this kind of conversations, and that's just who I am. I'm a vulnerable human being. I love to connect with people because that is what we're here to do, connect, experience life, and just really feel everything and learn. So that is a little bit about me. I do a little bit of everything. I could go on and on and on. But that,
you're my spirit.
That puts it into perspective.
Are you a Gemini by any chance?
Yes.
Because Nachi is very much
I am a Sagittarius.
Okay.
I'm a Sag. Yes. But and on the other side of writing, I coach volleyball and I play volleyball. And I've been playing since I was 5 in the Dominican Republic. So that's something that I continue to do, and I give back to the community. I love working with the kids. Honestly,
Look, you need to give my daughter some pointers. She plays volleyball also.
Yeah.
I'm a tough coach, but I do it with love.
She needs it. She always has an issue with tough coaches. We had to have a talk about that, but that's another story.
And I didn't even know how, because between her mother and myself, sometimes we're just not the nicest. But all of a sudden she has a problem with tough coaches. I'm like, but you can handle us.
Right.
I guess she's like, but I love you.
I know.
I don't love those coaches. You know what I mean?
I don't love them. I know.
I'm like, okay.
That's true.
So, I'm so excited that you're joining us on this conversation about boundaries, as it's kind of like a part 2, the continuation of our conversation we had our first episode actually, which was about establishing boundaries. And we felt it was, given the reception that we received and just the great feedback, there's so much that goes into boundaries in general and how it affects and impacts, our lives individually. And so I know that's kind of like woven through your work and whatnot. And so I'd love to kind of hear a little bit more about how your writing reflects that part of your journey in relation to yourself and with others.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I love that question. So, unlike who I am today, years ago, I was not this outspoken individual about my emotions, about my boundaries. I've always been a very kind hearted and like sentimental individual where other people saw this negative things about others. I always saw the what ifs, but maybe, it was a mistake or maybe they did this. So I've always had a soft spot for humans, for emotions. It's always been who I am. And the times where I lacked boundaries or did not know how to really deal with them, put them up, like uphold them, even with the people that I loved, were the times where I completely self-destructed.
Mm-hmm.
What people were seeing outside was nothing like what I was feeling inside. There was a voice that was telling me, but Dhayana, you want to say no. Why aren't you saying no? But the outside was like, yes, I'll do it. I'll go with you. Yes, I'll do these things. And so I really went through a period, I want to say 2018, 2021, where I didn't really know who I was. I knew who I wanted to be, but I didn't have the courage to confront the way I was treating myself. And so I would write about it, but I wouldn't speak about it. And at the same time, a lot of the things that I wrote, I knew that I needed to dig deeper. I knew that I wasn't really saying what I needed to say, even when I was writing, because that is scary. Once you actually write it down, you're facing yourself. You're like, this is it. I'm trying to do the right thing, but how can I communicate that? And so it's been a journey of that. Because if I can get it down on paper, if I can actually be honest with myself on paper, then I can give myself the opportunity to be honest with other people. But how can I not be honest with myself first?
Yeah, that's interesting.
It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like that was the dance with my writing. That was the dance with like my boundaries. It's always been like that for that amount of time. But obviously now it's different than before.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely see how that would be difficult to really acknowledge your part in it, because I think that's the challenge, right? Where, like you mentioned, you could see you always give others the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they didn't say it that way, or that's not what they meant. But when you look at yourself, it becomes, like you said, scary, because there's certain things that you don't want to believe that it's a part of you. You want to believe that you're above
Correct.
that, right? And so even going through that process of writing and looking at the words on the paper or on the computer or wherever you're writing, it's just like, I have to deal with that ugliness, right?
Yeah.
How do I deal with that? That's
100%. It's not easy. So, I mean, like I said, I grew up in a household where my parents definitely gave me the freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm thankful that my dad did provide me with a space for me to speak my mind. At the same time, there was those hidden lessons, right? Dominican households, like women are supposed to do that. This is how you should be when you're with your partner.
Yes.
These are the things that you don't do. and I'm the only girl out of 3 brothers. So there's definitely, that I got to make sure Dhayana do it right. Even with my mommy will be like, ay, pero muchacha, you don't want to be cooking with me in the kitchen. You just want to be playing volleyball out with your dad. Like, my mom used to roast me, okay?
Look, our dad used to roast us. He used to be like, you're going to be a microwave wife if you don't learn how to cook. I used to look at him like, what? Why do I need to know really how to cook to be married?
But the gag was, though, our parents never really asked us to cook throughout us growing
Yeah.
up, like some other typical Dominican
Wow.
households. So yes. My mother tried once with my sister. She burnt beans. The whole floor, like the apartment floor that we lived on, smelled disgusting. I felt bad for our neighbors. And my mom was like, never again.
I'm
How about
saying
I'll never
teach
ask
me
you to do it?
first before you tell
She
me
said, you
to
know
do
what? No.
Yeah.
something.
So
They are like that. I don't know why.
so she never
Mommy
asked
was
us.
like, well, if you don't know how to peel, like, if you don't know how to, what did she say? Si tú no sabes cómo pelar un plátano, yo no sé qué tú haces.
You're not going to starve to death. You're going to survive.
Look, I still
was
struggle with that. I
saying.
still struggle with it. Got little pieces of skin on it. I
Run it
got
under hot water, Nachi. Come on.
Yeah, she be eyeballing me when
Yeah,
I'm peeling
no.
potatoes. Like, muchacha, pero tú te le estás llevando toda la...
And I think I've always been scared to cook for them because of that. It's always this hidden, this feeling of, okay, I'm just not going to meet their expectations.
Because you're a microwave wife, as Papi said.
Yes. I can't.
Anyway, I guess, it's interesting, right? Because you talked a little bit about your healing journey, and through that and establishing the boundaries along the way. I say for me, part of my healing was definitely learning to give myself grace and compassion. Has been very helpful for me in my healing journey, in that sense of just like learning not to be hard on myself because I didn't meet expectations that I put on myself too. It's just like really weird. And so for you, like, how was that? How did you get to that point? Like, I know for me, to even understand why I feel the way I do, I have to be very self-reflective and ask myself the questions. And like you said, kind of sit and dig deep. And it's not always pretty. I don't always like the answer.
I want to be really intentional with the way I answer this. And I always have to go back to when COVID started. So I've been married for almost 10 years. I got married really young. And so that itself was a journey of discovery. So now I'm discovering myself with somebody else in my life, with a partner. And what does that look like for somebody who got married at 18 with divorced parents who I love and that were married for 33 years and that I still wonder how, like, man, I've been married for 33 years. At this point, I gotta just stick.
Right, just stay.
But,
right.
I definitely, we always go back to like our inner child and our experiences as children, our parents' relationships. But my healing journey really, really did begin during COVID. And I always talk about it. I had just gotten back from Japan with my husband because he's in the military. And boom, it was January. We're in Florida. We thought everything was about to be great. And then COVID, so we couldn't go anywhere. I was trying to finish my master's degree. And I am the kind of person, I've always been very driven. Like, this is the plan. This is how I want to do it. I'm graduating by fall X, Y, and Z. It's getting done no matter what. So I was focused. I was having issues with my FAFSA. I got to give y'all the backstory. I was having issues with my FAFSA, and the loans. And they're like, send your application again. And I was like, okay. My class had just started. They said, we're not going to kick you out of your class. We'll wait until your application comes through. Fine. Well, let me tell you what these people. 3 weeks into the class, I have my rhythm. I'm getting my grades. Completely take me out of the class.
Ooh.
And it might sound like nothing, but to me, that was like the breaking point. It was almost like life. I want to say life asked me, who the fuck are you when you're not doing something? Like, this is my question to you, Dhayana. Like, that's when life was like, I need you to sit the fuck down. And I felt lost. I felt like I had no purpose. I was like, what am I doing? I'm not in class. Like, I'm not going to graduate on time. What am I doing with my life? Who am I? Who am I when I'm not trying to achieve something constantly? I didn't know how to sit down. I was like my mom.
That's a Dominican thing.
Yes,
That is a
is.
Dominican thing.
Right?
It's annoying.
And my parents never made me feel like I had to be the greatest student, the greatest person out there because of what they sacrificed for me. They never made me feel like that, but I put that pressure on myself. I was like, well, I moved to the United States. I left behind my brothers, my dad. They don't live in the US. You know, I came with my mom. I left behind my grandmas, my people, everything that I knew, I left behind. And my dad said yes to me coming with my mom. So he sacrificed a lot of things. And so did my mom. So I told myself, I'm going to make them proud like any of us would. But what that cost me, though, it's what as an adult I'm learning to gain back, which is, who am I? What do I love to do? What am I doing that I actually want to do? What are the things that I learn out of my parents' mistakes that I carry into my own adulthood that are toxic, that are not good? And so that period in my life where I got kicked out of those classes was for me to be in stillness, and still is. I still preach about it. Like I'm still in a phase of like stillness. What does it look like for me to be me, to sit with myself, to sit with my emotions, to sit with my bad thoughts, to talk about them out loud, even expressing to my partner, I feel ugly today. Like I don't feel, good. Or I'm having these doubts. That doesn't come easy. To let the words roll out of your tongue, saying things like that takes a lot of courage, because if writing it is scary, when you get to the point of saying it, it's like
it's a different ball game.
But it's rewarding, at the same time, it's rewarding because you're being honest with yourself. And now, after that whole entire journey of getting kicked out of the classes, really being alone, because my husband deployed, so I was alone for like 8-9 months. I was really like, all right, B.
It was with yourself.
what is going on in the mind? Because I used to be really afraid of sitting with my thoughts. I did not like to sit with my thoughts. So I kept myself busy. Coaching, volleyball, this, that, Dhayana. And I go back to when people used to tell me, I wish I was like you. You always got something going on. You're graduating. But deep down, I was really falling apart.
Yeah.
It was just a mask.
Yeah, it's that facade of keeping everything all together.
Absolutely. And I just got to a point where I told myself, I don't want to be strong and resilient anymore. I just want to be soft, gentle, and
yes, amen.
Speak it, girl. Yes.
I that's where I am in my life. Like I know I am strong. Shit, I've been through a lot of things. I know I can get it done. But
do you need to be like that all the time?
Help.
Right.
I don't want to be like that all the time.
I don't think anyone.
And so that's where I am with my healing and my writing at this point. Like right now, I'm prioritizing my rest. I'm like, okay, I can't do no more. I'm done. I'm watching a movie. I am going to spend the whole day watching TV. That's fine, because I am productive when I need to be productive. And now I'm finding myself teaching my mother these things, like to take care of herself.
Tell us how you do that.
Yeah, I was about to say, has that been easy?
Cannot get my mother to do that. To sit down. Just to sit down.
It's really not easy. So Mommy's somebody that I don't think she's ever truly known how to just relax. And it was hard for me to confront her about her behavior before. I love Mommy, but she's the kind of person that she wants to be there for everybody except for herself. And I guess I got it from her. And I try to break that, and I did. And now I'm having these conversations with her, telling her, hey, like, the reason why you have anxiety is maybe because of this. The reason why your skin breaks out when people are talking to you about negative things could be because of this. I actually I realized that when I tell her what to do, sometimes they don't work. So I just ask her positive questions. I got to the point because she used to call me often to see how I was doing, but she would start talking about something negative from somebody else. Pero tú sabes que pasó esta persona y aquello y ay Dios mío, ay que me duele la espalda, me duele esto, me duele aquello.
Oh my God, she's like talking about Mommy naturally.
Yeah, I know.
So I just I told myself, how? No, man. We might just be, girl. De Los Santos Rodriguez.
Yes,
Just
seriously.
let me know. But I would be like, all right, how can I make a healthier space for her?
Mm-hmm.
And so I will ask more positive questions. I wouldn't mention a lot of negative things about my day or about how I'm feeling. I would just focus on cultivating good conversations. Like, did you went for a walk? How did you feel when you went for a walk? Are you eating your fruits? I bought her books.
Nice.
She used to love to read and she has stopped reading. So I was like, let me look into some novels that she'll love. And that's what I tried to do. But even with that, I have my boundaries, because at the end of the day, she's my mother. I am not her mother.
Yeah.
And I did that for a long time. I took the responsibility of seeing my mom as, even if I didn't tell her, but I looked at her as my child.
Yeah.
Like, I got to take care of her emotions. She feels heartbroken. She feels lost. I'm her strength. I don't want to talk about my issues. I don't want to talk about my depression because she'll get depressed, because she'll get sad. And that isn't healthy either.
No.
But,
Because you can't carry other people's burdens.
No, you can't.
Correct.
You can't. I like the whole idea of changing the conversation, just switching it to being more positive than negative. Because I always remember when mommy would be, when she started talking negatively about someone, I would literally stop talking about so-and-so like that. Like, why can't you just be positive in the things you say? And she would look at me like I was crazy.
She didn't understand. She's like, does not compute. Like, what? She's like, what are you talking about now?
For her, she's like,
I twitching.
Yes,
What?
For her, she was just like, I'm speaking facts. So why is this? And to me, it's just like, you need to look at the positive side. But I like the whole idea of, let me just turn it around and speak positively to her so that she can get in that habit and start looking at things with a positive light. Because I don't know what it is. It's just like, for them, they just feel like, it's just like, let me harp on what's negative and
what's wrong versus what's good, what's right.
Girl, it really is. And you have to have this level of patience with it.
Yes.
And it's incredibly exhausting at times because you're like, I love my parents. I want to help my parents, but do they see that I'm trying to help them?
Right.
Because helping them come with a lot of, but why? And what if I don't like it? And why are those people doing it like that? And I'm like, just don't focus.
Right. That's not our problem.
So
you're great, Diana, in that you know how to approach it with a soft, gentle touch. It's a challenge for me sometimes. So with my mom, when before my father passed, and she lived in Florida, I was helping them out a lot, especially towards the end of my father's life when he was, it was just like a lot we were dealing with generally as a family. And my mom had to take on more responsibility, more than she ever had, because my father wasn't able to, he wasn't the same anymore after he had his strokes. So I would have these talks with her over the phone. And it's like, I was like a football coach. I'm like, get your head in the game, Mom. Like stop. It was terrible. It was just like these conversations.
At times I would have to tell her, Damaris, you need to be easy on Mommy.
Because I'm like, you could do this. You're focusing on the wrong things. Like, this could get better. No, and I was just like, why isn't it working? Not you. Not just like, maybe it's your approach. I don't know. But I love to hear that, because I'm just like, okay, I'm going to try that when I speak with her now. I love my mom, but she carries a lot of, I call it pain body.
Yes, and you remind her.
Eckhart Tolle from New Earth. It's like, there's a lot of pain body that she has. And I'm like, and I tell my mother, she'll complain about an ache or something in her arm or shoulder. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, Mommy, it's all that pain body, that emotional baggage you're carrying from decades. And she looks at me and she's like, blank face. She's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But I feel good because I'm like, I told you.
Don't worry about it. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's that shit.
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't get here like so easily. I used to be on the phone with her like you, like, this is what you have to do. I don't understand why you're not listening. Tell me. But then
it wasn't working.
It just wasn't getting through. It wasn't getting through. And so I started to talk about it to my partner. And like once he brought up like, why don't you just let her say everything she needs to say? Don't even answer anything. And I was like, I'll give it a try. She wants to vent. Okay. So I would just listen. And then I would just ask those positive questions. Like I would just turn it around after because I'm seeing it with different eyes, with clear eyes, because I'm doing the job that perhaps she wished she could have when she was younger. Maybe there are things that she never got to do. Maybe, she got married to my dad. There's a lot of restrictions. I don't know. Marriages back then were really different. And my mom and my dad were actually really different. She's like super social butterfly, like dances with people that she don't know, says hi to people she don't know, makes friends with anybody. Right? And my dad is more conservative, very philosophical, very like life lessons, this and that. So polar opposites. And so, I had to learn how can I bring that gentleness? How can I like give her perhaps what she was never able to give herself? So how can I heal myself and with that heal some part of her? Because I know I won't be able to heal everything that she carries, but how can I do that? And so I take that in consideration when I live my life, because I want her to see my life and to feel ease. Right. And I try that as much as I can with her.
No, that's a good point. And I think it's just difficult for them. I don't even think they realize all the baggage that they carry and hold close to them, that it becomes a part of their lives. And and to your point, I think it is important that you start take care of yourself so that she can see, okay, that's how you're supposed to behave and act and deal with certain situations.
Absolutely.
I try with my mother. Like sometimes she gets all crazy about putting things in order and cleaning up, and I will look at her like, well, mommy, I don't know why you're getting all upset. It's not going anywhere. I'm not killing myself. I'm sorry.
Listen, when my mom pointed out that I was doing something like her, I was like, oh no, I got to stop that. I think it was like a couple years ago, maybe not even a couple, maybe like a year and a half ago, she came to visit me, and I am very clean and organized. And of course, like I know I got it from her, but I think it's funny for her to see it in me, because she was in the kitchen, she was doing stuff, and then I'll be like
cleaning right up,
right by her.
She's like, wow.
She's like,
let me clean the counter.
Diana, yo lo puedo hacer, cálmate, vete a sentar. And I was like,
she's like, calm down, please.
All right, that's fine. And she's like, you being like me. And I was like, okay, yeah, I got to change that.
No, mommy would be washing dishes while I'm still cooking. I'm like, can I just finish cooking so that you can wash dishes? Like, please.
No, the best part is I'll go to their house and Nachi or we've made the dinner, and instead of eating, my mom starts the dishes. I'm like, Mommy,
she'll clean the kitchen.
And she's like, I just don't like a dirty kitchen. And I'm like, oh my
your food's
God,
getting cold.
Lady, can you just eat, please?
We'll take care of it later.
Yeah. And love our parents, but this is. So it's interesting. I kind of want to get into then the art, I will say, of then navigating these boundaries. And I feel like they're, while you can set your boundaries, establish what they are, but then it's how do you live through them and how do you balance any pushback that you get on your boundaries? I'm curious to hear about how you manage that for yourself, because I have some ideas, but
right. So, like I said, those years living in Japan and then transitioning to the U.S. to me, because I moved when I was 20, so super young,
you a baby,
and by then I was just hype, like excited to be in another country, but also really scared. I was just touching like the tippy toe of the iceberg when it comes to getting to know myself when I moved. And yeah, boundaries for me were non-existent. And I thought I was attracting a lot of wounded people. I was attracting a lot of people that I have grace for them. I'm never going to speak ill of them. But my light was like,
it's bright, and because you're
let me
so
reach.
helpful.
I need to.
Yep.
Right. And I had no clue how to say no. Like, my battery's low. I can't do it. And so I gave pieces of myself that I never even got to know. I gave pieces of myself that I wish I still had because I did not have boundaries. And it took for me to definitely fall apart, have very destructive and self-harming thoughts. It took for me to get completely lost, to be able to understand that for me to be good to other people, for me to be there for other people, doesn't mean that I have to completely disregard my own needs. But the issue was, how do I communicate that? Because I was still putting their emotions first. Well, if I tell them no, they're going to be upset. And, they may not talk to me anymore. Am I a bad person? Am I a bad friend? But then I started to realize the people who love me will understand that I need to take care of myself, and I need the space to grow, and I need the space to just be with myself. And so I started to notice when I said no. How are you reacting? Oh, okay.
Because that's telling,
you
right?
You big mad, but I have to take care of me. Like I can't be depending of everybody. And so when I got, those circumstances where people were upset that I wasn't there for them 100%, that's whenever, if I had the opportunity, I would express to them, look, how can I be for you? How can I be there for you when I barely am there for myself? And if I want to give 100% to you, I got to make sure that I'm mentally and physically and spiritually okay. And I just got tired of telling people things that they should do when I needed to apply that into my own life. And so I had to tell myself, okay, I am gentle, but I'm not stupid.
Right.
Like I can't have a balance. Like I must learn a balance. And I learned a balance. And now I actually, by God and the universe taking away the relationships that were pretty much eating me alive, I have friends in my life that understand I can't text you every day. I love you. I may go a whole month without talking to you, but worst comes to worst, I'm there for you. And the thing is, we are all human beings, and we're experiencing so many crazy things in life that we don't talk to anybody about sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we crave for our close friends and family members to ask us how we're doing, but ultimately we are the ones that need to take care of how everything is feeling inside. Do I need outside time? Do I need to be off my phone a little more? Do I need to go to a therapist? Do I need to take a solo trip? Like, what do I do? And how do I express that need that I have in a respectful way? So I had to become comfortable with that, because I wasn't comfortable with telling people, I'm sorry, I can't attend. I'm sorry, I can't be there for you right now. I wish I could, but I'm feeling X, Y, and Z right now. I had to be comfortable with that. And that was rare, because where I come from, you're always there for people,
right,
no matter what it costs you,
right.
And that's just, I had to be, I guess, the bad person. You can look at me like that. That's fine. But I know that I'm at peace. I know that I'm respecting my boundaries. I know that I'm being honest with you. I'm not lying about how I feel. And I'll do it with gentleness. Like, I don't have to insult anybody to let them know I have boundaries. I love you so much, but I have boundaries. And there's just certain conversations and certain things that I can't do. It's too taxing for my spirit.
No, it's true. And it's important. I'm sorry. It's important for others to see that. And I like the fact that when you're speaking your own truth and what's important to you, that you start seeing who truly are your friends. And that's that's probably the easiest way of releasing those people, those leeches, those energy vampires from your life, because it's true, you're constantly always having to attend to someone else other than yourself, and you
Mm-hmm.
begin to drown. I mean, I was there. I was definitely there, always, being the people pleaser, making sure that everyone
Absolutely.
was okay and doing for everyone. And then I had to start thinking for myself, like, okay, what is it that I need to, for me to be whole and
Correct.
feel better, feel better about myself, because
I also, now that you said that, it made me think that I also make sure that I ask my friends, how can I be
mhm,
a good friend to you?
yes,
What are your boundaries?
that's
Like,
good. Yeah.
how do you feel seen and loved?
Yeah.
My best friend right now, well, one of my few best friends, she lives in Germany and I love her to death, but she's not somebody to text or call all the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, she's a mom, she's going to school, she's far away. And so I understand what she needs from me.
Mhm. Mhm.
I know the kind of friend she needs, and I am that kind of friend to her. So it's definitely like very important for the relationships that you want to cultivate, that you both ask those questions.
Yes.
Now, how can I be a good person to you?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Mm,
I like that. I like
yeah.
to reciprocate that same um that same feeling or that same request from your friend, people that you feel close to. Damaris, how can I be a better sister to you, girl?
Okay, I have a laundry list. Let's take this offline. Just kidding. No, she is an amazing sister. I love her to pieces. Like I couldn't do this journey without her. I was just going to say that it's funny. I think for me, growing up, setting, I think I unintentionally set boundaries and I didn't even realize. And I say this because of our two parents, my father was one. He was the type that set boundaries of how he wanted people to interact with him and how he wanted to engage with people. Like, if you came to our house unannounced, he wouldn't open the door. He didn't care who you were. You did not
The
announce
car was
yourself.
right out there.
Yeah, you didn't announce yourself before you came to our house. You were not going to come in. That's his boundary, right? So
Yeah.
you'll just have to learn the hard way. There, not many people did that, but on occasion, we're like, he's like, who's ringing the doorbell? He's like, are you expecting someone? You expecting someone?
Yes.
We're like,
Yes.
no.
He would.
And he's
He
like,
would.
then I don't open the door. And he would just read his newspaper on the sofa
He
and wouldn't even look
would.
outside. That's,
Unbothered. Mm.
yes. My mother, on the other hand, she's very typical. Like what you describe how your mom to be, just doing everything for everyone, running yourself ragged. And she's the youngest of 9 siblings. So we have a very large extended family. And not only is it large, it's very close. So it's like doing everything for your sisters, your own kids, your own husband, and then also for your nieces and nephews and your siblings.
Mm.
And that's how they all interacted. It's like a disease, right? Like the
Yes.
closeness is the great part, but like this, I office you, you got to do stuff. It's just never ending. But I say all this because
Mm.
for me, I remember just even to this day, I say I have a maximum of 3 things I could do in a day. I'm like, I can't, if I go to brunch and I have to go to the post office, I don't have room for one other thing. That's it. So don't expect me to do anything. I know my body. I also know I can only take on for so much energy and being around people at a certain, that was my
Right.
capacity. Whereas I know of people, and it's, friends that have kids, they're like, yeah, I got 5 birthday parties to go to and like 10 things to do today. And I'm just like, guess what? Little Bobby's just not going to have to do it. He's just going to miss out on a couple things. Like, I mean, granted, I don't have kids, but I just don't. And even Nachi could tell you, like, she knows me well enough that I don't know how much that would change if I did have kids.
Right.
I really don't. And I just know my capacity. And so that, that's my thing. That's what I have to say about that. You mentioned,
But I think that that's great though, that you know your capacity. I had to learn my capacity. Like I don't have to do so much. I had to be okay with having just two things to do. And that was fine, because I had more time for myself.
Right.
So I was trying to be like you, and I'm getting to your level, girl.
That's it.
Like,
welcome to the club. Come on, Dhayana, join me.
It's looking like baking cookies and watching Disney movies all day.
Okay.
That's it.
Meanwhile, I have a long list, and I'm happy if I do 2 of them. Like, I got 2 out of my 10 lists that I have here on my list.
But Nachi, but you said something about being a people pleaser, and I came across this IG video, I think either yesterday or today, and the guy says, the happiest people are not people pleasers. He said, that's it. That's the end of the video. That's all he said. He said, the happiest people are not people pleasers. I'm like, let that sink in, y'all.
Yes. I would agree with that. Because when you're a people pleaser, you're always doing for others. You're not thinking of yourself. You put them before yourself. And there are things that everyone has something that they want to do for themselves. Everyone has something that they rather do that brings them joy. But because so-and-so came to them and say, hey, I need your help with X, Y, and Z, or someone else come because they have, they're having some drama happening in their lives, and you just like, okay, let me give you my listening ear. And when you start just, start thinking for yourself, like, okay, do I have the capacity to do this right now? Right.
Yeah.
And just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, in those instances, that's where you want to, before you start dumping on people, your friends, is to ask like, hey, are you available to talk? I really want to vent about something, or I want to talk about this. Do you have time, or can we, that instead of just like automatically calling somebody and just start dumping
and venting. Yeah.
Yes.
So you have no clue what they're going through. You have no clue the capacity, and that could be the top of it.
And like for me, like I know people who are like that, and if I'm not ready to deal with that, I won't pick up the phone. I'm like, I can't talk right now.
Oh, so you are like Bobby.
Yes, I am. I really can't talk.
She's the 2023 version. She's like, instead of coming up to my house, you try to call me. No.
I can't.
That's true, though. It's needed. I'm getting to the level of, I ain't even going to text you today. Give me 3 to 5 business days. I will reply back later. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. I used to text people like seconds, like, oh, I got to reply back to you. But now I'm like,
I'll follow up.
It's my energy, battery dying. That means my phone, I'm taking a social media break actually this month. I took a step back for a bit. And that's just part of me trying to
recharge,
continue to connect with myself, like, deeper with my writing. I want to be more around nature. I want to interact more with people out there with, so I was like, this is actually really, really healthy. So it all plays out in what we want to do in our lives and how we want to be.
No, I love it. And do you feel like your boundaries have evolved?
100%. And I know that as I meet new people, obviously, they will change depending on who people are. Because I look at boundaries as like employees at a corporation. Like, how
it's
you
true.
can,
yes.
You know how you have the employees that want to hear you're doing a magnificent job. Like, I love everything that you're doing, and they're like, wow, I love it. I'm so happy. Then you have the other ones that are like, I want a bonus.
Right. They're like, show me the money. Show me the money.
Yeah. Now, and then you have the people that are like, like, give me them 2 hours of leave and I'll be completely happy too. So that's like how I see boundaries sometimes, because some people don't need all of your boundaries. It can be just a little bit of this with this person, a little bit of that with that person. Right. You could have that one person in your life who you have no boundaries because just get like get each other so perfectly, it's never an intrusion, you
There's an
know?
understanding.
So, right. So that's how I see it. And I'm forever evolving. So I know that everything within me and outside of me is going to reflect the job, you know, the inner work.
It's funny. I thought about that earlier for myself. And I was like, no, my boundaries don't evolve. They just grow. I was like, the more boundaries I have, the lighter I feel, the happier I am. I'm like, okay.
Like a ninja cutting people
Yeah,
off.
basically. But before, I do want to add something that I read this article that was like big, trending on Twitter a few weeks ago. And it was on Bustle. It was, is therapy speak making us selfish? And it talked about how some people apply boundaries, and in doing so, it may require certain relationships to have a little bit more compassion when, for the person on the receiving end of those boundaries. And I read this article and I was just like, wow, this is bullshit. I was like, I feel like I'm being gaslit. So you're telling me I need to be concerned about the person that I'm setting boundaries with, so that, because likely I had to set those boundaries because they were a habitual line stepper. So now you're telling me I need to consider their feelings. And the examples that they used, granted, were of people that seem like real jerks in the way that they deliver their boundaries. But, we don't know the full context. We just hear the person complaining about, well, I didn't even get a chance to say my piece about why, this friendship is ending. And I'm like, if you have a friend that's willing to end your friendship like that, then how about maybe let that go and find closure within yourself. But to have this narrative of, well, sometimes it could be selfish. I'm like, no, that in itself is the problem. No, I disagree. Now I'm going to add more boundaries. That article had the opposite effect for me.
Yo, she's like, I don't know what you thought you did,
right?
But you didn't.
But
it's looking like 200 boundaries a day, baby. Don't breathe near me. Don't talk near me. Don't blink near me. Do not even offer me fruit I don't ask for.
Oh my goodness.
But you know what? It comes to this idea of self-love. And I think because I just love myself and I prioritize that above anything else, that to me, it's like, I'm curious for you, like, how does it play into your boundaries, this idea of self-love and your mental state, right? Like, how does that all relate? Because to me, I think that's huge. Like, if I didn't have boundaries, I feel like I'd be stuck all over. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
No, I feel the same as well. First of all, I had to learn what it looked like for me to love myself, for me to love everything about my vulnerability, my heart, the way I see people, the way I treat people. Because I can't expect others to respect my boundaries when I don't even take care of my own boundaries. Let's say I told myself, I'm not eating this after this time. I'm not going to be on my phone after this time. It just wouldn't make sense for me to have all these boundaries for people when I barely do the minimum for me. And so when it comes to self-love and boundaries, I tell myself, again, I can't expect everybody to respect my boundaries, but the least I can do is express them with respect. This is who I am. I'm not the same as last year. I understand that maybe these are things that you were used to.
Oh, Diana said yesterday's prices are not today's prices.
I'm sorry.
Let's be clear.
But this is how it's, so this is how it works. And as I've been establishing boundaries and getting better with it, I have been, strengthening my relationship with myself and what that self-love looks like. Because even a boundary of I'm not texting anybody after 9 because I'm reading, that is self-love to me. This is my time.
Look, I put a do not disturb on my phone at 10 o'clock. Damaris gets upset.
You know what I mean? And it's just, it just feels so much better again. And you may become a loner because now you have these boundaries and ain't nobody trying to hit you because my phone be dry. But listen,
no one's calling you.
At least at least I know that I feel at peace with who I
Mm-hmm.
am, that I have, that I already been through a chapter of my life where I was the people pleaser,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where I did sacrifice too much. And there was a time where I told myself, maybe you need to stop being so nice. Maybe you need to stop being so vulnerable. Why are you doing this for people? But then I had to remind myself that those were beautiful and are beautiful things about me.
And
That
Mm-hmm.
is
that's
what
you,
makes me
right?
me.
Yeah.
That is
Mm-hmm.
just, I needed my boundaries.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just, I needed boundaries. And so self-love really looks like rest, stillness, listening to what it is my body's telling me to do, to express out loud what I need, and to be gentle with myself, because there's too much going on in this world and we already have things that we have to confront within. So self-love and boundaries really is about gentleness to me. Like, this is what I need
Mm-hmm.
in order to continue to grow, and how can I do that and be okay with it, because not everybody's going to be okay
No.
with who I am becoming. And another thing I want to add to that is, as you do that, you will lose people. Sometimes the people are just going to go out of your life without you having to do something. And I've been in a situation where I lost who I thought was a friend, and I lost them without any closure. They said they were going to let me know what it is that I
That you did.
did,
Mm-hmm.
but I was never told anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just completely blocked out of everything. And when I tell you that it broke my heart, I was just so confused. I was like, I cannot think of one thing I did to this individual.
Mm-hmm.
One, because we never spoke like all the time.
Right.
So I know that it wasn't that was bothering or they were bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
Two, we hadn't even met in person.
Mm-hmm.
We were just like met online, and we just became really good, cool people.
Right.
So I had to understand at that point, as much as I want to reach out, as much as I feel like I deserve an explanation, the boundary has already been set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so you
And
had
that's
to
it.
get that closure on your own. So you still, like, that article would have said, you know what, that person owed you this space, an opportunity for you to say your piece. And well, I
I
get,
was just like, it is what it is. I looked at it as, if the universe and God wanted this to be like that, and for me to not have to do anything at all, so be it.
And that is self-love right there, awareness. You don't need the additional, that explanation from somebody else as to why they did or what you did to, to get them upset or move on. It's just, you just have to be okay with yourself. You knew, like you said, you knew that you didn't do anything that could have possibly ended this relationship. And so instead of like beating yourself up about, oh, maybe I should have done this or I should have done that, and you probably would have gone back and reached out to this person to see, hey, what did I do? Let's just be friends. I'm sorry for whatever I did. And you didn't even know what you did, but you're apologizing for it.
And trust me, I apologized before even everything was caught up. I was just like, well, I'm sorry. Thank you for telling me what you're feeling, but can you
Mm-hmm,
elaborate?
mm-hmm.
And again, lessons I learned from that, and
Yeah.
I had to really tell myself, hey, D, it's
Yeah.
fine.
The lesson of
Nobody
letting
belongs
go.
to you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. So.
no, I like that you said that no one belongs to you. It's funny. I'll say this. Imani Cohen said it best when she said, self-respect is self-love. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Self-respect is self-love. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we have to, if you have to prioritize yourself, and that includes respecting your own boundaries, respecting other people's boundaries. It's just like, and that's all that it boils down to. Dhayana, I want to thank you so much for spending this time with us and continuing this conversation about boundaries. That I love how we focus on the navigating through it, and how it's not easy, right? And it's an ongoing journey to manage and navigate one's boundaries. And so I appreciate you being here and spending the time talking to us. It's been so much fun. And I'd love for you to remind our audience again where they can find your book, and where they can find your services online and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both for creating such a safe space for me to have this conversation. It's truly amazing what you're doing. So, yeah, Dhayana Alejandrina, that's also my Instagram name and my Twitter if you'd like to follow me and my work. My book, Agridulce, is available on my website. It's available on Amazon, Barnes& and Nobles, iBooks, Kindle, whatever you prefer. And I am working on my second book that I hope to release towards the end of this year. And if you would like to read more of my work, also De Eso No Se Habla within the Dominican Writers Association is a book of Dominican stories. And I've been featured there that discusses the taboo topics in our Dominican culture. And so that's another way to connect with my work and to see the work of other individuals. But yeah, Dhayana Alejandrina on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm sure you beautiful ladies will send it out because, the spelling is different.
It'll be in the description, guys. Make sure to click through, read, open, expand the box. You'll see it. For sure, we'll add that. Thank you for sharing that information again. And I'll just close out with, there's a lot of noise out there, but our message is consistent. Stop getting distracted by the smoke and mirrors like the geriatric war known as the 2024 election, and keep your eyes on the prize, which is you. Focus on what makes you happy, on your purpose in life, on whatever makes you vibrate higher. Keep your frequencies lifted.
So that said, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at I'm Not Yelling _. Thank you so much for listening.